You've probably heard it in the news, right? The headlines all say the same thing. Inflation is going down. And that's supposed to feel like good news, like some kind of economic relief. But then you go to the grocery store, or you look at your rent check, and you're probably asking yourself a pretty simple question.
It's a fair question, and it really gets at this huge disconnect between the official story and our day-to-day lives. Your groceries, your rent, grabbing a bite to eat, none of it actually feels any cheaper. For a lot of us, it honestly feels like it's getting worse. So let's unpack what's really going on here.
So on one hand, you've got the headline telling you that things are getting better. But on the other hand, you have your bank account, and it's telling a very, very different story. Now here's the thing. The headlines aren't exactly lying to you, but they're absolutely not telling you the whole story.
To really get this, we've got to peel back the first layer of confusion. It all starts with how these numbers are presented, and it creates this sort of illusion that's really important to see through.
Okay, this is probably the single most important idea to get your head around. When you hear that the rate of inflation is slowing, that doesn't mean prices are dropping back to what they used to be. Not at all. It just means they're going up slower than they were before. Let's just use a quick example to see exactly how this works.
So let's imagine a basket of stuff you buy regularly costs you exactly $100 in year one. That's our starting point, our baseline. Then in year two, let's say inflation is pretty high, 10%. That same basket of stuff now costs you $110. You definitely feel that $10 pinch.
Okay, now in year 3, the news says inflation has dropped to 3%. That sounds great, right? But what it really means is that the price went up another 3%, but this time from that new higher price. So your total cost is now $113.
You see, the price never actually went back down. The climb just got less steep. So people are hearing what sounds like relief, but what they're actually feeling is just a slightly slower version of the same financial pain.
There's a technical term for this, and it's called disinflation. It's just a slowdown in how fast prices are going up. It is not deflation. That's when prices actually fall. And just knowing that difference is the key to making sense of all the economic news out there. But, the math is really only the first piece of the puzzle. The second big reason for this disconnect is hidden inside what that one single inflation number actually represents. Right. So that number you hear on the news, it has very little to do with your personal budget. It's a national average that comes from this theoretical basket of hundreds of different things. And in that basket, some prices are going up, while others might be going down. It's all just blended together into one number. So for example, the price of a new TV might have actually dropped by 5%. Well, that price drop helps pull the overall average number down. But at the exact same time, the cost you absolutely cannot avoid, that's a whole other story. Things like your rent, food, insurance, those could still be climbing pretty fast.
And that's the problem. The things you actually need to live, the non-negotiable parts of your budget, are often the exact items that are still getting more and more expensive. So even if the official inflation rate looks better, your personal inflation rate, your real cost of living, might not reflect that at all.
And if that wasn't enough, there are even more subtle things happening. Sort of hidden price hikes that make you feel that squeeze even when the official numbers seem to be improving.
You have definitely noticed this one at the grocery store. It's called shrinkflation. And it's a pretty clever way for companies to raise the effective price on something without actually changing the sticker price. Think about it. Last year, you bought a bag of chips or a carton of orange juice. This year, you buy the exact same thing for the exact same price, but you get home and notice the package is just a little bit smaller. You might not even notice it at first, but over time, you're consistently paying the same amount or more for less product.
And this gets at an economic idea called price stickiness. Basically, companies are really quick to raise prices when their own costs go up, but they are incredibly slow to lower them, even if their costs go back down. I mean, if we've all gotten used to paying that higher price, there's not much incentive for them to drop it.
So when you put all of these pieces together, the slowing price hikes, the weird averages, the smaller packages, you get to the real heart of the problem, this widening gap between what you spend and what you actually earn. I mean, just think about it. The cost of just about everything jumped in a really big way over the last couple of years. But for most of us, our paychecks haven't come anywhere close to keeping up with that. And that growing gap, well, that's where all this financial stress is coming from. This really shows the fundamental issue. Your cost of living shoots way up, but your salary growth just kind of inches along.
That growing space between those two bars represents a very real drop in your purchasing power. Your dollar just doesn't stretch as far as it used to.
And this is exactly why the economy can be described as stable, or even strong, at the same time you feel like you're falling behind. The new much higher cost of living has become the new baseline, so stability is just happening at a much more expensive level than it was before.
So what does all this really mean for us? How should we think about the news, and how do we handle our money in this kind of environment? It really comes down to a shift in how we look at things.
Here's the most important takeaway from all this. The next time you hear someone on the news say inflation is going down, just remember what they're really telling you. It doesn't mean prices are falling. It just means they're still going up, just a little bit slower, from a new and probably permanent higher level.
This really isn't a temporary blip that's going to snap back to the way things were a few years ago. For the most part, these higher prices are the new baseline. And that leaves us with a pretty important question we all have to think about. If this is the new normal, how do we have to adapt? How do we need to rethink our budgets, our savings, our whole approach to our financial lives?